Hey guys, back to breaking down some multiple choice questions. This video is on course 2, the beast, the longest course of them all, and the course that I found the hardest. Mainly just because of the sheer size of it. The exam itself might have been as hard as C3 or C4, but this being such a marathon made it the hardest for me. But a beatable course for sure. We're back at it, Exam Master MCQ video breakdowns with me. As usual, if you're looking for additional support, look for my Exam Master mini courses in the description below from C1 all the way to Sims 2. But let's just dive right into the computer, the course 2 MCQ breakdowns. Let's go. Hey guys, we're just at question 1 here. If you've never seen me break down questions like this, we just go through them. I use a bit of my fundamentals. I read, I answer, we discuss why questions are wrong, how they word their questions, just super helpful stuff. And we'll go through 4 of them. I'll try to make them different questions, high percentage, not questions, tricky worded, and maybe even what statement type questions. So let's just dive right into it. You'll see me mention my fundamentals, hopefully pick up on it. I'll try to go as quick as possible, but basically as efficient as possible. Okay, so I always just go top left, deep breath, and we start reading. This is how I do it when I'm on the exams as well. I always utilize the cursor. Okay, 1. On the agreement of purchase and sale, the authority granted to the brokerage is referenced and allows information to be included where a notice may be sent. What authority does this give the brokerage? Perfect. And I always move the cursor and do these practices while you're on the exam. I always move it over to anything. I move it over to A, read it, and if it sounds correct, I leave it hovered over. So I'll try to utilize those fundamentals as well. A, under a seller and buyer representation agreement, the brokerage cannot receive emails on behalf of the seller or buyer. The brokerage is granted to receive notices on behalf of the client, and we'll kind of talk on what a notice is if you're not too sure. B, notices may be sent and received by most non-registrants. I mentioned this if you've watched my other ones. If you're on course 1 and now you're on course 2, notices cannot be received by non-registrants. That might come up. I'd move on and always move the cursor over. C, the authority to receive verbal binding agreements from interested parties. Okay, all binding agreements for the purpose of trading in real estate must be in writing. Okay, so there's very, very small percentage of the time, almost not even worth talking about when it comes to leases and the statute of frauds, which is such a old school law, statute of frauds, whatever it is. But basically, for the purpose of trading in real estate, everything must be in writing. Simple one there. Just keep that in mind. And when you get to D and you've process of eliminated your way to D and you think it's still it, I still read it though. Still read the possible answer just in case, because you might see something here that makes you go back because you missed something on a previous question. So always read it, even though we've kind of eliminated it. D, under a seller and buyer representation agreement, the brokerage is typically provided the authority to give and receive notices on behalf of the seller or buyer. This is accurate. A notice is something like an email. That the vast majority of the time you receive a notice, it will be via email, and non-registrants cannot receive that. It would be deemed trading in real estate. Okay, on to 2, top left, deep breath, and you'll notice along the left-hand side, it kind of shows what the type of question is, where it's roughly located in the material, if you need to go brush up on it. Okay, 2, an estate in land is the interest or rights associated with real property. The type of estate held will identify the extent of those rights or interest. What statement is not true about a fee simple estate? Okay, and if you're using my fundamentals on not questions, although we're seeing less of them, it depends. I say that, and then somebody gets 60% not questions. You never know what you're going to get, right? I usually put 3 fingers down on the table. This represents there are 3 correct answers, and we're now looking for that 1 incorrect answer, the exact opposite as usual. Okay, still use all the fundamentals though. A fee simple estate is one of which an owner has ownership for an indeterminate amount of time. Of course, this is fee simple, indeterminate amount of time. This means you own the property. B, a fee simple estate is the highest form of ownership. It is the highest form of ownership. Again, we're looking for the wrong answer, not right. A fee simple estate has the least rights and the most limitations. Okay, we'll leave it hovered over there for now, right? It doesn't sound right? So then to D, a fee simple estate has rights that are commonly referred to as the bundle of rights. Okay, perfect. All of those other 3 are correct to a certain extent, right? What statement is not true? What is not true about a fee simple estate? A fee simple estate has the least rights and the most limitations is not true about a fee simple estate, right? It is the exact opposite of that. It has the most rights and the fewest limitations, right? And then you'll get into like leasehold, like fee simple and leasehold will be together in the material, and you'll kind of discuss on that. So basically, we would answer that. I don't know if I answered the last one, and basically move on. And utilize all fundamentals and not questions. You'll start to realize that not questions are better, right? Because they just pop out at you. 3 correct. You're looking for that one wrong. Okay. 3, top left, deep breath. Fiduciary duties are owed to clients of the brokerage. What statement is true about fiduciary duties? Okay, perfect. Off to A. Along with a fiduciary duty, a brokerage must always obey all the instructions of a client, regardless of the situation. We must obey instructions of our client, but they must be legal, if you know what I mean. So it would have to say that we must obey all legal instructions of a client to a certain extent, right? And when it says obey instructions, we still have to follow our code of ethics, but it would have to have that word legal in there. We're not obeying all instructions. B, a fiduciary relationship is based on fairness, honesty, integrity. Okay, so this is a little tricky because, of course, we see fairness, honesty, integrity all the time. But a fiduciary duty is actually more based on trust, confidence kind of stuff, best interest, loyalty, right? So it's not, a fiduciary duty is not based on fairness, honesty, and integrity, because fairness, honesty, integrity, as per our code of ethics, is due to a client or a customer. And right, we'll kind of talk on client or customer because that's changing very soon to a client and a self-represented party. So depending on when you're watching this, if you've moved over to Tressa already, it's going to be a self-represented party. If you're still with Reba, it's going to be a customer. So it's above and beyond fairness, honesty, integrity is what a fiduciary duty is. C, fiduciary obligations are owed only to all clients, but are also owed to customers of the brokerage. Okay, kind of a funky answer there, but basically we answer that. It's also to customers. It is not owed to customers. And again, when you're watching this, that's going to be self-represented party if it's already changed to Tressa. This is not something that's owed to both. We know that. And then D, again, read it. Even though if you've probably process limited yourself to it, still read it. Fiduciary obligations are owed only to a client and are based on ensuring the client is the priority and focus in all activities undertaken by the brokerage. Perfect. That is the correct answer. D, and move on. 4, last question of these ones. Again, we're just breaking down a few so you get a good idea of this, and I'll do more in the future and stuff. I just want the playlist to have a little bit of questions so you can see and of course, refer to the Exam Master mini course in the description below if you want tons of stuff. And I do breakdown videos like this and questions like this, as well as addition to multiple choice questions, notes, everything, right? So look for that if needed. 4, when a seller signs a listing document, there are certain risks that must be addressed. What is true about sellers accepting liability for property showings? Okay, interesting. And these are long worded answers, right? Don't get, I have this fundamental that if the more information they're giving you, the longer the question, the more information you can gather, right? So just try to switch that in your mind, where if you see these long worded answers or questions, it's intimidating, try to switch that. Try to be like, okay, now I get more information to gather to get to the correct answer. Okay. A, when signing listing documents, the brokerage signs off on indemnification, stating that if something goes missing during the showing, provided the salesperson is not negligent, they are not responsible. Okay, kind of a tricky little word there. They just replaced the brokerage signs off. The seller actually signs off on this, believe it or not. So on the listing agreement, when they've decided they want to use you to sell their house, you've discussed commission and everything like that. This is one of the clauses in that agreement, and it signs off that if we show the house. That's why you discuss with them to make sure they hide their belongings. So on this question, look for stuff like this on the exams. Just a little bit of tricky worded, like just brokerage signs off. Like you could just, if you're like late in the 115 questions in, right? You're 110 questions in, this stuff slides by you, right? So, and it sucks. And you think you've crushed an exam and you get way worse marks. So look for these small little things, make sure you read everything fully. Okay, B, the only agreement in place to avoid liability is the Form 100 agreement of purchase and sale. No, like just mentioned, it's the listing agreement. The agreement of purchase and sale has nothing to do with showings, for instance, and your client selling like that. That's the offer, essentially. C, although a listing agreement is in place to avoid such liability, that does not mean people may not seek action. Use common sense to avoid as much risk as possible during a showing. That, like, you can't beat that answer, right? So just keep reading. Like if you're getting confused, if you're like, okay, this sounded great,
keep reading. You're like, well, this one trumps that last one because you didn't see this brokerage part. It trumps it, right? So then leave it hovered over there. I still, of course, read D just to make sure, because there is no agreement in place. You must be extremely careful who you allow to see the property. Okay, so there is an agreement in place, right? The listing agreement covers such liability, right? If the seller wanted more protection, for instance, if they wanted us to be the listing representative to be present during every showing, which can happen on like luxury properties, that would have to be discussed. And something like that. But basically, there is an agreement in place. So the answer would be C. Okay, guys, those are the 4 questions for right now. If we like this type of style, I'll add more in the future. We'll see you right at the computer.
I really hope that helped, guys. And as mentioned, if you're looking for that additional support to pass first try or to crush a retake, look for my Exam Master mini courses in the description below. It's mini notes, mini quizzes, my exact fundamentals I use to pass all exams first try and in 4.5 months. And I also do video breakdowns similar to this on the 4 different types of questions you may see on the exams. Those links in the description below are also value links for the YouTube family for the time being. If you're new here, join our Humber College Real Estate Facebook group that's in the description as well. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I'll link Exam Master mini course right here for you if needed. I'm Callum Moore, eXp Realty real estate broker here in Ontario. And if you have any questions at all, DM, email, comment on this video. I get back to everyone. Thanks again, and we'll see you in the next one.